Willkommen zum aktuellen Goldinvest-Exklusivinterview. Wir haben heute die Gelegenheit, mit Scott Moore zu sprechen, dem CEO der Goldgesellschaft Eurosun Mining. Eurosun verfügt in Rumänien über die zweitgrößte Goldlagerstätte Europas. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you very much for having me.
Scott, maybe it's tried, but I think it's true nevertheless. Companies, especially mining companies, are only as good as the management. Could you please give our audience a short overview of your professional background?
Sure. Well, I've been in the construction or forestry industry for much of my career, and following my MBA from the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern in Chicago, I joined into the mining sector in 2006. So I'm primarily a finance guy, and been with our group, have been involved in many financings, probably totaling well over $1 billion. Including mergers and acquisitions, and responsible for structuring and managing most of our successful gold companies, which is, Avion Gold in Mali, Sullivan Mining in Peru, and Crocodile Gold in Australia, which of course is, most of these projects have been sold to another mining company, including, the Fosterville mine, which we used to own, which is, the world-class mine now owned by Kirkland.
Yeah. When I look at Kirkland Lake,
Yeah, we gave it up a little bit too early, I think, but yeah, it's pretty outstanding. So,
okay, thank you. So let's talk about the Rovina Valley project, or RVP for short. GOLDINVEST has been following Eurosun for a little while only, so I'm sure our audience would appreciate a project summary from you.
Sure, and I think just from a little bit of background, we'll always look to find undervalued gold assets to get involved with. And in 2016, that was certainly the case. This was a kind of a forgotten story for a number of reasons. But, this is a fantastic area in Romania. Rovina is an outstanding project. It's in northwestern Romania in the Apuseni Mountains. It's on the Western Tethyan Belt, which is one of the hot new structures in the world people are looking at. It's home to many of the largest gold mines. Rovina is the 14th largest undeveloped gold project in the world, and probably argue that 6 or 7 above us will never get built, and the second largest in all of Europe. It's 3 discrete porphyry ore bodies in a single site, containing about 71.1 million ounces of gold and about 1.5 billion pounds of copper. And that's about 10 million ounces on a gold equivalent basis. And more importantly, it was just granted its mining license by the Romanian government in just November of 2018. And that's a huge major de-risking event for any mining company today.
That's certainly true. What I also find very interesting about the RVP, apart from it being a fantastic project, is that you made the conscious decision not to use wet tailings or cyanide in the production process. As far as that is possible for a mining project, RVP seems pretty green to me. So can you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. And I would say that, both the company, being Eurosun, and the government of Romania made a conscientious decision to use dry stack tailings and no cyanide. Governments and companies have to balance economic, social, and environmental factors when evaluating any mining project. However, the ability to deliver a profitable project like Rovina that doesn't look to maximize profits only for the company or the government, I think is a clear example of today's, environmental, social governance, or ESG investing that is key for many institutions. Everything in our life comes from mining, and as such, taking a proactive approach to balance all those factors, such as we have at Rovina, is probably should be a good roadmap for all future mining projects.
Well, now, of course, if we were using wind power or water power for your power needs there, that would make it even greener. I don't know if that's possible. Or
well, one thing about Romania is it's a net exporter of hydroelectric power primarily into the European Union. So power costs. So we have a brand new power electric station about 5 kilometers away from our project. So this is, from a green perspective, is about probably as green you can go as you can do today, particularly for such a long life asset.
Well, we're coming to that now about the long life, and which is one of the reasons you decided to do a multi-phase approach to the development. I think in February it was that you gave out the results of the PA for the first phase of that development at the project, which did not really receive a positive reaction in the market. I think that's primarily because you had to put the cost for the processing plant, among other things, all into the first phase, and that only covers the first of the 3 ore bodies, right?
Yeah, you are correct. And we had an old PEA done by previous management from 2010, so 9 years ago, that looked at processing all 3 deposits concurrently. And such a project back then would be incredibly complex to build, permit, and more importantly, in finance. That was, in 2010 dollars, $600 million to build. You're building an underground block cave at 25,000 tons a day, plus a 20,000 ton a day open pit. Very complex project. The staged approach, which should be the way to go in mining these days, provides Eurosun the flexibility to build and operate profitably in the short term, but with a very long-term view of the project. You have to understand that, by putting in that first plant, centralized plant, which is about 265 million of the capex, you're there for base of a multi-decade operation at 20,000 tons a day. We're looking at the size of Rovina is big. It's 400 million tons, and if we just go 7 million tons a year, we've got over 35 years probably of mining, and because the resource is so large, the IRR doesn't really accurately reflect what long life mines actually produce. Discounted cash flow models always fall off to 0 after 7 or 8 years. So it's a project that most people look at 20,000 tons a day. You get it going, it's profitable, and then you start looking at expansions. You look at growing the size of the project, which is typically what's happening now in today's mining world. You don't start with the biggest project day one, which might have the best IRR or NPV. You start what's reasonable, and you look to expand down the road.
Okay. Just a quick question on the side. When you say it's a long life or very long life project, how long would be the first phase be? How long would you be producing from Kolnik?
Yeah, listen, Kolnik alone is 12 years, okay. Right? And you look at, depending on metal prices, look at bringing Rovina pit on next, that's another dozen years. And after that, that's 24, 25 years of mining. You haven't touched half the ounces at Chirasata. So this is a big project. This is a long mine life. And, again, IRR and close-in NPV values, not particularly relevant. I'd rather have $50 or $60 million of free cash flow for 30 years than a 10-year mine life.
Certainly true. Okay, so that's us covering the past, so to speak. Then please let us know about Eurosun's timeline for this year and maybe next. What are your aims and goals there?
Sure. The key point here is we're fully permitted for our mining license, which is, I guess maybe that kind of fell off a little bit of the radar screen, that this is actually a very significant step for the government of Romania to give an approval for such a large mining project. So subject to our rezoning and construction permit process, we just really press released yesterday that we have been granted the full rights to start our mining activities under the mining plan or under the mining license. And such that this year, the next 12 months, we're focused on delivering both two things that we have to deliver to get our construction permit is a certificate of urbanism for the area land use plan, kind of like a rezoning plan from forest to actual commercial use would be an example, and a certificate of urbanization for the project, which includes the environmental impact assessment. And we would anticipate being in a position to start construction probably in the next 12 to 18 months.
Okay. That's Rovina Valley. We've been talking about that exclusively. Eurosun also holds a very interesting prospecting permit for a property called Tunisia, I think, if I pronounce it correctly, which is very far away. Please give us a short overview there.
Yeah, when we talk about, this is an adjacent project directly to Rovina. When I mean adjacent, it's like 3 kilometers away. So it's not like it's 30 or 40 kilometers away. We've done about 2 years of field work on that area. We have requested an exclusive exploration permit for Tunisia, as the current prospecting permit under Romanian mining law is non-exclusive. So there might be more than one company actually operating on the same land.
Okay.
This is the same procedure that happened in Rovina. So we're hopeful that in the short term here, we'll be able to get that exclusive exploration license and move forward on some drilling and start releasing some data that we've accumulated in the last 2 years. You know, this is the exact same process that Rovina went under. Started at prospecting, went to exploration, and finally exploitation. So we certainly believe that this is an exciting project next door to us that could be phase 2, could be phase 3 of our project. You know, porphyries tend to come in clusters, and we think there's a good opportunity next door.
Okay. Scott, thank you for the update. To sum up, I would ask you to tell our audience in a few sentences why you think Eurosun still has upside potential and why they should consider taking a closer look at the company at this moment.
You know, sure, and I guess Rovina we think is big. You know, 400 million tons. It's simple mining, simple metallurgy, low strip, and it's buildable, which is a big key point. You know, we've got full local support from the local communities and from the our county partners, and as well federally or with the Romanian state. And against its peers, it's incredibly undervalued. Where we are today is, $7 an ounce measured and indicated, which, finding costs these days are $40 to $80 an ounce. So I think we've got a lot of runway to extract value here in the short term. And that permit is a huge issue, from a positive perspective for us. And major mining companies look for these type of assets, long life assets that once they get built, they're there for 20 or 30 years. And these are already, we're already starting to see some significant interest along those lines beginning to occur, particularly after we got the mining permit.
Okay, thank you very much. Great talking to you. All the best for your further endeavors in Romania. And we'll check in at a later point in time to see how it all went. Thank you.
Okay.